Okay, my voice is going to crack and then it's going to start going fine, okay? It is to my parents that I owe my taste for classical music. I'm a translator. Even before the pandemic, I can work at home and work on the computer all day. So I put classical music I have a screen on my computer on the side, and I put YouTube because I'm cheap, and I just select random things like some Beethoven or whatever. I'm not a super fan. I don't know all the classical music, but if I didn't use classical music, I would be singing with the Beatles, and my translations would be in Russian, even though I'm a Spanish translator. I translate into Spanish. So I'm like, okay. So one day, I put this video, and I see a lady in red, and she's playing on the piano. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Suddenly I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. And I look at her, and she's just going intensely on it. I'm like, oh my God. I stop working. I'm like, I'll work later. She's beautiful. And I enjoy it. Okay. And then, you start looking on YouTube, like, okay, what the heck? And then I find more and more stuff, and I'm like, oh, and she's beautiful. I'm like, great. Okay, I don't know how the algorithms work. One day I was looking at my Facebook, and there it is. Oh, her name is Katya Bunyatishvili. She lives in Paris. She's from Georgia, not from Atlanta. No, Scarlett. She's from Georgia, south of Russia. You know that area. So I'm like, the algorithms work. So because there in my Facebook wall, it's like, she's coming to town. I'm like, oh my God. And by then I'm like, wow. And she's a legend. She's a legend in France and in Europe. Her agent is not very good here. She just fired him, so that's why. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy a ticket. So I get my credit card, and I ask my wife, my girls, because that's what we do. Like, oh, there's this person coming. Okay, let's go. And I ask her, do you want to come? And the girls are like, no, it's on a Wednesday. I'm like, okay, no one wants to come. I'll go by myself. So I get my ticket, and it's like on the third row right there. I'm like, yes. And she's going to play like this, and I'm going to be seeing how she moves her fingers, like, wonderful. So I'm like, yeah. So the day comes, my wife is in the family room, she's reading a book. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. I put on my $4 jacket, that it's beige, and my pink socks because it's a special occasion. So I'm ready to go. I tell my wife, okay, I'm going to go. Bye. And I'm like, okay, let's go. On the way, leaving my home, like 5 blocks on the way, there's a grocery store. I stop and I buy a rose. And also, I'm bringing with me a cartoon book, Argentinian cartoon book, and it has a cartoon of a piano player. And I want to show it when she's signing autographs. Like, okay. So I go, and then I arrive to the theater, and I'm like, gee, I hope they don't confiscate the rose because it has thorns, so I take the thorns off. And I don't want her to get hurt either, So I'm like, okay, and I walk like, okay, let's go inside. And there's a bunch of people, so I'm like, yes. And I sit there, and it starts. And then the lights go down, and she comes out. I'm like, oh, my God, there she is. And then she takes me, I'm the only one in the theater, on this travel with her music that I have been listening to on YouTube because I'm like, I want to understand how she does. And it's beautiful. And her fingers go out at times like giants on the keyboard, clong, clong. And then like little lambs. I'm just like, oh, this is the best of my life. Okay. And I'm holding my rose, intermission. I notice on the first row, there's a few empty seats. So I move and I sit. And there's another lady, and she's like, are these seats taken? I'm like, no, I took it. And she's like, well, I took this one too. We were up in the balcony. And my husband's kind of worried. The husband was standing next to us going like this, waiting for the art police or something. Okay. And then I feel like, and she says, I saw her on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, I feel like Richard Dreyfuss in Encounters of the Third Kind. It's like we all gather here in this place because she was from Nebraska. And I'm like, okay, this is a great movie I'm in. So it starts again, the the show, the concert, she comes out, and then she plays more and more, and I'm just like drooling. Like, okay. So then it stops, right? And I have my rose. And I'm like, and then people are clapping, and I'm like, am I going to throw the rose? No. So she goes, what does she do? Oh, then encore. Okay. Maybe at the encore, should I stand up and give it to her or not? Should I throw it at her? What if I hit her in the face? Oh my God, what am I going to do? So finally it goes, she does the encore. I'm like, I have to throw it, and I don't have the courage. I'm like, oh, you're stupid. And then I'm like, okay. But then she comes out again. I'm like, okay, no. Okay, she goes back, and I'm like, she comes out for another time. And then I'm like, okay, here it goes. The throw. Major League Baseball would have given me millions of dollars not to play for them. It was like, whoop. And actually, I threw it when she was walking out of the stage. It fell. I'm like, stupid. And I'm like, that's it. And people start walking out. Like, no. She comes out the next time. She looks at the floor and goes, a rose. She doesn't say anything. You can see a surprise. And she picks it up. I'm like, yes. And then she looks. And I go, me. And she looks at me. And I say the only French thing that I need to say, that I can say, Je t'aime. I love you. She comes and shakes my hand. I'm standing there. I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, oh. And then I tell the lady, I'm never going to wash this hand. But then the pandemic came, so then finally what I did was, then they had a question and answer session later. She was sitting here, and I went to sit with her, but I was nice about it. So I learned that she was vegetarian and that she spoke 5 languages. So then we go to the autograph session, and one of the first guys I run, and then she's like, oh, that rose was lovely and all that good stuff. And I show her the book, and I gave it to her. She's like, no. I'm like, yes, take it. Then we take a picture, and she grabs me, and then and holds my hand, and I put my hand behind her back. I'm like, I hope I don't do any Me Too stuff. I'm so nervous. But then I realized she grabbed my hand and put it next to her heart, because I see it on the picture, like she's holding both hands of my hand. I'm like, oh my God, yes, wonderful. And then she smells so nice. I'm like, wow. And then finally, they take the picture, and she goes, she's sitting, she goes like this. I'm like, oh, okay. And then my moment is gone. I leave the theater. I'm floating. I don't know how I got into the car. I'm levitating. I got there. On the way back home, I'm in ecstasies. I'm just yelling inside the car. I need to tell this story. I need to write about this story. I wrote an 18-page essay. And this is the summary. That's why it's taking a little more time. So I get home. My wife is there reading, and she's like, what? How was it? I'm like, it was okay. It was very nice. She was very nice. And then I go to bed, and I sleep the sleep of the happy people, the blessed people. Next morning, I tell my wife, I think I'm in love with Katya. And she says, oh, you're starstruck. Well, I guess. But if I ever go to Paris, I don't think you're going to see me anymore. So, okay. Starstruck, literally, when a star hits you, and I think of the sun coming. That's what happened. Katya was the sun, and it hit me right here. But then I thought beyond it. It was not just the sun. It was all the universe and black holes that hit me right here. And to finish, the autograph said, Chucho, thanks for the lovely rose. Thank you.